Hello and welcome. Today we've got something simple. So sit down, stick around, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to my review of the new Marvel movie, Iron Man 3. Yes, the long-awaited sequel to Iron Man 2 has finally come out. So here's my review of it. So sit down, stick around, and as always, enjoy. So here we are, 5 years later after Iron Man 1. We have a review for Iron Man 3. Oh, 3! So, before I actually get into the review, I'm going to warn you guys, there's going to be some spoilers in this review, so if you don't like spoilers, you might not want to watch the rest of this. I will, however, give you kind of like my grade on the movie right away. So then if you want to go and watch the movie, then come back and watch the rest of this video, you can. But I'm not gonna ruin it with spoilers. I'm gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be spoilers in this review. I'm gonna give you a grade right away though. I give the movie, it's okay, it's probably about 3 stars, maybe at a 5 roughly. Put it this way, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, we're all entitled to our opinions, this movie is not as good as Iron Man 1 or even Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 1 was the best one. Iron Man 2, which I thought was, you know, it didn't compare to the first one, so I always put it, you know, well, it wasn't. And I kind of had high expectations for the third one. It's like the third one, you know, will have to be better than the second. And it's like they took a step back again. And it's not quite as good as the second, and definitely not as good as the first. But, again, it's a matter of opinion. I'll go ahead here and tell you guys the reason why I have come to this conclusion, in my opinion, of course. So, from this point on, there will be spoilers, so please turn the video off if you do not want to hear about spoilers, but then come back and watch it later so we can all discuss this. We can all discuss it together. Together we discuss. Alright, here's the part with the spoilers. First off, the movie dragged in a lot of places. And I'm not saying that the other ones didn't either in certain places, but the movie really did drag in certain places. It felt a little too long in some areas. So they used the extremist storyline. Okay, I get it. Iron Man doesn't always have the biggest storylines. And, you know, and it's like the pool's pretty shallow. Or at least we've come to expect the pool's pretty shallow. So yeah, so they didn't use the extremist storyline. I always thought when they mixed 2 villains together too, got kind of odd. Like when they took Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo in the second one, brought them together. It kind of showed that the pool, the Iron Man pool, was pretty shallow. So I know we don't got a whole bunch to pick from, you know. It's just the extremist storyline, you know, it's personally not really my favorite. But whatever, we'll take that and go with it. It seems like most of the movie is just Tony like reaching out like, oh, where are my Iron Man parts? Why aren't they coming to me? It seems like a lot of that's going on, and that's kind of, you know, kind of threw me off a bit. I'm like, eh. A lot of the movie he's not in costume, which I'm kind of like, well, alright, well, he's cool. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark is cool regardless. So it's not like it's bad when you don't see Iron Man, because he's still entertaining and funny, but you think in an Iron Man movie, you would see more Iron Man. I guess it's kind of the similar complaint that some people had about the last Batman movie, was that we didn't see really much of Batman. We got a little bit of Batman, then we got Batman with his back broken forever, and then a little more Batman at the end. Kind of feels like that a bit, although again, it's much more interesting to see Tony Stark try to do shit on his own than it is to watch Christian Bale fucking lay in a jail and watch shit. But regardless, kind of felt that way to me a little bit like that. Another thing, when it was announced that Mandarin was a villain in the movie, it was kind of like, I was thinking to myself, wow, the Mandarin. Mystical Mandarin, 10 rings. How are they going to incorporate the Mandarin into the movie? That was kind of I was like, oh, Mandarin, he's kind of like a mystical, it doesn't really fit the real world. So I was like, oh, whatever. How are they going to do this? How are they going to bring the Mandarin? And they did what Batman Begins did. They did the same thing. Now, some people are going to argue it wasn't exactly the same, but you know what? It's fucking close enough for me. We took the villain like Ra's al Ghul. So Ra's al Ghul, you're like, holy fuck, Ra's al Ghul, mystical Ra's al Ghul. It's not going to fit in the Batman universe. Like, this Batman movie's like based in reality. How the fuck are you going to have this guy? You know how you have a mystical type supervillain in your movie? You just don't fucking have him. That's what they did. That's what they did in Batman. They had him there, but he wasn't really him. He's just a decoy. He was a decoy. A decoy for fucking Qui-Gon. He was a decoy for Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon. He was the main villain all along. But made it look like it was Ra's al Ghul, which really he was Ra's al Ghul. Follow what I'm saying here? So they kind of went to the approach of, you know what? We're not going to dumb down our audience and we're going to make it as if it was like a setup, so it's kind of a twist at the end. Okay, cute, whatever, awesome. Now, for whatever reason, Marvel, I don't know if they just watched that movie right before they started filming Iron Man. They're like, you know what? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to make the Mandarin the man. But then in reality, there is no Mandarin. The Mandarin's just Guy Pearce. Because they created this character that wasn't real in order to deflect from the other guy. They did exactly the same thing that they did in Batman. It's the same thing. So, and then I was thinking after that, I was like, fuck. Okay, so the way you make the Mandarin real is by not making him. Alright. Well, I guess if you look at Batman, it kind of worked. But then you look at Marvel's other movies and you're like, why would you cop it out? Why would you cop out like that? Why would you not copy, maybe you did copy, but go with something that DC did? Why would you do that? Because let's face it, you're in the Avengers world. You have established Thor. You have established a fucking mythological god in Loki as a villain. And not a fake villain. He does fucking mystical shit. He does mystical shit. He does that stuff. And then in Avengers, you have not only Loki doing mystical shit, but you have fucking vortexes opening over Manhattan with fucking aliens and shit. And you have Thanos at the end, and it's like, holy fuck, you know what? They're taking the movies and they're actually making them look. They're taking like all the mystical stuff out of the movies and all the stuff that's comic booky, but actually making it in the movie. My fucking dog's going nuts. And it actually looked cool. And fucking Loki was awesome. So before I watched Thor, I thought, how are you gonna make Loki, how are you gonna make Thor, how to make any of that work? It's all like mystical. It's not gonna lend well to the real world. And it did lend well. So why did they not lend the Mandarin, is my question. It's not as if they've established a status quo where there's nothing funky and magical happening, because that shit is all over the Avengers. So that's something that bothered me about the movie. The acting was, naturally, the acting was good because the cast is good. So I can't argue the acting. I can't argue some of the one-liners. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head. There was one one-liner, a zing, a joke, which was kind of in reference to, like, comic book fans. Like, people who would read a comic book, it's like stereotyping the type of person that does that. Kind of like Big Bang Theory would, apparently I don't watch the show, but they were stereotyped like, oh, the hot girl in the comic store. All the nerds look, because it would never happen. You know, although I've seen some pretty fucking nice chicks in comic book stores, I'll tell you that right now, so the stereotype is bullshit. But anyways, using those little stereotypes, and I know they used one, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. When it was actually playing out, I was like, ah, fuck, look at that. I gotta remember this so I can bitch about it later. And I can't remember it, so I can't give it the true bitch that I could. But, alas, can't remember everything. The best part of the movie, Iron Man, was like probably the last like 15, 20 minutes. Most of it was pretty boring. Just him trying to get a suit. Come on, suit, come to me. All this shit going on all the time. But the end fight with all the different armors coming in, that was cool. The fact how he finally beat the bad guy by fucking locking him in one of his suits and having detonate, that was awesome. So it finished off on a really high note. Although after that, you kind of have like, oh well, I made Pepper better again all of a sudden. And hey, guess the fuck what? I found a way to get the shrapnel out of me all of a sudden, and I'm going to show it to you in 5 seconds. What? So the main thing of the other two movies, the main thing, like him trying to get the heart, trying to get that electromagnet to keep the shards out of his heart, suddenly he has a fix for that shit. Like bang, right there. Hey, let's give you 5 seconds of screen time to show you a magnet pulling out shards and we're done. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? That kind of fucking, I was like, what? Oh, I got him dog. Alright, so for an action movie, it's good. It's a good action. It's a good ride. If you're expecting something better than the first two, you will most likely be disappointed, or at least I was. But that's just my opinion. You never know, you may love it like nothing other. I mean, we went to see it probably with 5 people together, and I think one of us liked it better than the second, but not as good as the first, and the other ones were all pretty much on the same side, that it wasn't as good as the other two. But you're going to make your own decisions anyway. There is a deleted scene after the credits, and since I can spoil, I can tell you about it. It's basically Dr. Banner, Bruce Banner, listening to Tony Stark's story, his rant, and he's looking for help in order to listen, and he says he's not that kind of doctor. It was cute! It was cute. I was expecting a little more, though. I want a little more. You know what? That might be my problem. I just want more. I gotta want less. But, yeah, so the scene was cute. It was cute. But, I don't know, I'd like to see something else, maybe like a villain teaser or something like that, you know, but it was still a cute little scene anyways. So, yeah, overall, Iron Man 3, it's a good movie, but it is not as good as the other two. And maybe by lowering your expectations here in this video, maybe you'll go in and really enjoy it. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Iron Man 3 was better than Iron Man 2, better than Iron Man 1, better than both? Leave your comments here. It's up for debate. Until next time, guys, take care. Later.